the bride of Wilson Mansion. The sky was overcast with heavy, charcoal gray clouds that completely swallowed the sunlight. A strange, unnatural chill hung in the air, as if the breath of death itself were swirling around me. Standing before me, framed by skeletal dead trees, was that old derelict house. Its shattered windows looked like hollow eyes staring right through us. On the rusted iron gate, a weathered private property sign swung creakily in the wind, bearing the words, "Trespassers will be haunted." My flashlight beam cut through the darkness, illuminating a rocky path overgrown with wild weeds and tangled vines. "Are you sure you still want to go through with this, Priya?" Rohan's voice came from right beside me, laced with a nervous tremor. I could feel the warmth of his breath against my ear, but the sheer coldness of the place kept my heart hammering against my ribs. I angled my flashlight up toward the second-story window. For a split second, a blurry silhouette appeared before vanishing into the shadows. "We've come too far to turn back now, Rohan. Chickening out would be stupid." "Stupid? Or smart?" he countered, pulling the zipper of his jacket all the way up. "This place is practically screaming at us to stay out. And that's exactly why we're here, isn't it?" I tried to smile, but my lips were completely parched. "We need proof. Real, undeniable proof." Our podcast, The Unseen World, had been struggling lately. We desperately needed a story that would give people goosebumps and force them to tune in. And what better place than this abandoned estate, infamously known as Wilson Mansion? Legend had it that the ghost of a tragic bride wandered these halls, a woman murdered on her wedding day. Rohan tightened the strap of his camera. "I can't tell if this is going to skyrocket our ratings or dig our graves." "Don't sweat it," I said, trying to mask the cold dread pooling in my own stomach. "We just look around, get the footage, and split. #, stepping into the dark." The gate groaned loudly as we pushed it open, sounding like an ancient monster stretching its bones. We stepped inside. The sharp scent of damp dirt and decaying leaves hit my nose, mixed with a sickening smell of rot and mildew. "Do you feel that?" Rohan whispered hoarsely. "The temperature dropped," I replied, sweeping my flashlight around. "And it's way too quiet." The front door of the mansion was left ajar, almost like an invitation. The wood was rotting, covered in thick moss. The moment we crossed the threshold, the door slammed shut behind us with a deafening bang. That had to be the wind," Rohan said, though his voice shook violently. I beamed my flashlight at the door. Wind? Inside a sealed house. The darkness indoors was so thick that our flashlights could barely cut through it. Dust motes danced in the beams like tiny phantoms. Ahead of us stretched a wide, ominous hallway lined with closed doors. "So, where do we start?" I asked, forcing my voice to remain steady. "Living room, maybe?" Rohan suggested, pointing his light toward a broken armchair. "Look at the dust. Nobody set foot in here for decades." We walked into the living room. It was filled with shredded couches, smashed windows, and cobwebs hanging like drapes from the ceiling. Everything was buried under a thick layer of grime. "This place feels so incredibly sad," I whispered. "It's like time completely stopped here." "Yeah, and maybe something else stayed behind too," Rohan added, his eyes darting around nervously. Suddenly, a faint, melancholic tune echoed from an old grand piano in the corner. A single key was being pressed over and over, playing a creepy, repetitive lullaby. My breath caught in my throat. "Did you hear that?" "Yeah," Rohan said, freezing his flashlight on the piano. "But there's nobody there." We cautiously approached the instrument. The keys were yellowed and chipped. But right before our eyes, one of the keys depressed on its own, as if pressed by an invisible finger. "How is that even possible?" I muttered, goosebumps erupting all over my arms. I don't know, Priya, Rohan said grimly, but I think we need to start rolling. He hit record on his audio gear. We stood there in dead silence for a moment, but the piano melody had stopped. The room felt heavy, charged with an eerie energy, a distinct presence. Maybe it's just an old house quirk, I reasoned, trying to calm myself down. Settling wood can make weird noises. Or maybe someone is listening to us, Rohan muttered. Hashtag the second floor. We left the living room and headed back out to the hallway.